I'm in the Porsche. Yeah. Right. We'll ride this one out. Right. Yeah. Right. Let me put my St. Louis hat on. Right. Yeah. See, I'm a St. Louis nigga, a money gon' get her. Don't matter how I look because the money gon' get her. I'm the same little nigga, a UC nigga. I have an order fried rice.
Where we hail from, baby. Hey, y'all ain't ready for this shit. This shit all about me today, cuz. Yeah, STL, born, bred, and fed. Keep telling you motherfuckers. Y'all can't duplicate me. Y'all can't be me. We not cut from the same cloth because they stopped making my motherfucking fabric. Page and newsstand. Hillsdale representative. STL. All day. Every day. From the room to the tomb. We got Moan, Chibo, Brandon, Big L, Ron, Weasel, Man, Mike, and the whole crew. Slew the Beat, Freako, Kevin Care, everybody that born made me the motherfucker that I am. It's the streets that it is. This is what it's all about. All about me today, baby. You don't see what it is, but doing the hosting, doing the questioning, holding me accountable, keeping it all real. We got the motherfucking commission in the house. So again, this is the Get to Know You Owner, the Ass Kicker edition, hosted by Team Commish. Get it on.
Thank you. Good to be here today. We are interviewing 2015 North Division champ, the 2020 South Division champ, the 2022 East Division champ, the only person in the league to win 3 division titles out of the 4 divisions, and also the 2022 AAFL
Woo!
champion.
Say it one more time.
2022 AAFL champion. We got him here today. How you feel?
I am stoked because, okay, those y'all ain't in the chat room. This is gonna be something, because this gives me a chance to air it out, talk about some real shit, the real essence of Get to Know the Owner, with a motherfucker that's gonna hold a motherfucker accountable. So I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, let's get into it. First off, tell us about yourself.
I am a nurse. I am a father. I am a husband. I've been a nurse since I was 19. I'm a 17-year Army vet. Come from a married household, not necessarily a 2-parent household. My father was in and out. But it was me and my brother and my mother. Paige, we moved. Paige and Newstead. That's where the shit all started. In the Ville. Y'all ain't ready for that shit. But at the end of the day, you know, you make decisions. You come up out of that. I've been a nurse since I was like 19 or 20. I'm just an all around cool dude. I'm nurse, EMT, father, husband, sports fanatic. Shout out to them Raiders. Came around in Hillsdale around my high school years, man. They adopted me. I had to earn my stripes, you know, just like everything else. And hey, it is what it is. I am what I am. Nothing major. And I am also the motherfucking champ. Yeah.
Now you got a lot of friends in this league. Who is some of your some of the friends, some of the guys that you brung into the league? You know, mostly everybody just about in the league. So personally,
between the two of us, everybody in the league knows us personally. I think outside of Gronk, that might be pretty much it. Say it. But everybody has a connection. You, shout out to my cousin by marriage. This is my cousin, my homie Roy. But we knew each other back before that happened. Shout out to my wife. I love you too. Moan is my best friend since I can't 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there. his wife's father married my mother, so we were brothers by marriage. Shout out to Moan. Chibo always been the homie. Used to work with Brian and LTK Missouri Kings. I know Brandon. We play softball and we travel together. Shit, who am I missing? Cousin Chuck. Shout out to New Northsiders. Lord Hate with his motherfucking ass. Yeah, it was just we all been around, and in some way it connects back to you and us too. Um, man, I'm gonna we love story time. Listen, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of story about everybody, and it's gonna make them quick because I want this to be drawn out. One thing I remember, and I distinctly remember, outside of when we were grown, but you would always come home, and I remember that purple. I don't even remember. What was it? Lexus? The Mines 29. That motherfucker with the gold rim, and it used to rumble. That motherfucker used to go, y'all. And I used Roy was a skate. Hey, I Roy when he used to come home and he would be bumping Money Cash Hoes. Money Cash Hoes. He used to skate to that shit. At the end of the day, every time I hear that, it take me back to shit, probably 19, 20 years old. Shout out to the motherfucking Roy. Uh, man, for real, it's just us.
So you started the draft party. You actually started the YouTube channel that we are currently on. Give us a little insight because this year will be going year 4 of the draft party.
Year 4 of the draft party, year 3 going into a show. Draft party wise, it's on it's apples and oranges, but it's still fruit. Fuck with me for a second. So the way you saw the league progressing to where it is now, that's kind of how I saw the draft party. You put it out there, motherfuckers begin to come, and you invite your friend, and then it starts to snowball, and it begins to come to that thing that FOMO. I don't want to miss out. No, everybody, I gotta get in. So, but the draft party is always at the same place. Twin Peaks out in Maplewood. Shout out to Twin Peaks. We get the same service, same spot, same everything every year. Brandon's been there every year. Chibo's been there every year. Team Commission came in last year. Some other cats. We just have a good ass time. Millionaire Bacon. Yep.
Now, what was your thought process about starting the YouTube and been hosting the YouTube 2 years now, and you're starting to build a little buzz?
Okay, so I used to do this shit in my office at work, but it really started in the chat room. I keep telling y'all motherfuckers, man, the chat room's where it's at. So and I don't know, me and you was just talking, and I was like, you know what? Matter of fact, Lennox had said something about it, and we were all talking, but I was like, I think I should put out just because and I would even said it with you, like you do a lot of typing on your rankings and your mock drafts, and I was like, man, that'll be much easier. That motherfucker put it on video and post that shit up. So it was, I don't know how it started, but it was a crazy week for everybody. Like all 16 teams, it was raining cats, dogs was fighting, and everybody. It was just a crazy week. And I was like, I need to put that on the team. So it was the show one came out, and I put it on, dropped it in the group, and it was there. And you gave it your blessing, and shit. It just kind of the whole half of the first season I did. I think I started week 5, 6, some shit. I don't know, but whatever it was, it started in my office. And then I started just on Thursday. What? Just oh no, it was a Thursday morning pre-cap, and then we added the Monday morning quarterback. So we went from that to one show to 2 shows a week, and it just kind of and it gives everybody love a platform. This is my platform, to sit up and just say what I do. I do the shit for the fun. It's amazing to me. But and shout out to you for sanctioning shit and making this shit possible, because it is what it is. But yeah, it's now when you got into the YouTube, because we was trying to do the shit on Instagram, and the videos were too long. So I think, and I just, just researching and watching shit, and just I was like, I'll start a YouTube page, and that way I know the videos aren't too long. And then, you went from the office to, the home office, and it's just, then you went to the YouTube page. Now you got the Zoom link, and it's just, it is what it is. Yeah.
Dig that, dig that. So how long have you been in the league?
Woo! I came into this league 2015. 2015. Damn, I had some notes, y'all. I've been drinking, plus I'm probably high. But I actually
2015.
did, huh?
In 2015, that's when we were actually just a redraft league, getting
Yes.
our feet wet.
What I was getting ready to say is I actually had some notes that I was going to pull up about my record, my career record, regular season record, and things of that nature. But when we started in the redraft, I remember you came and hit me. I was like, hey, dog, you play fantasy football? I was like, yeah, I did this stuff. Nah. Do you play? Roy, motherfucker, I play. What's up? Well, I'm gonna put you in this, and then we went from there. But story time. When and this is gonna go into probably what I'm assuming your next question is about the redraft and the dynasty. The year that we went dynasty, I remember that was the year that Tom Brady was suspended for, what was it, 4 or 5 games? Was it for Deflate
Again,
Gate? And I remember, and you are a stat guy. You'll go back and if you don't have it pulled up, I'm sure you'll probably drop it in the comments. But I want to say I picked Brady up in like the 4th or 5th round because I remember, and it might even been the 6th because I remember picking my guys, and I was like, shit, the motherfucker's still gonna be Brady when he come back. And I ended up getting him for. I think that was that the Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson year? You almost made me want to
I
go
remember
back.
you had both of them on your team for a while.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it started then, and shout out to me. I'm gonna go ahead and toot my own shit. Beep beep beep. Every time I make the playoffs, baby, I make that motherfucking podium. I ain't never been no less than 3. Let's see, I got what, 2 third places, a second, and a first tied. It is what it is. Next.
That's correct. Yeah. Every time you one of the few, probably the only person who has made the playoff who hasn't lost in the first round. Everybody who's made the playoffs.
So this is just this is one of my youngest. This is my youngest. This is Jordan. Sister cousin. Say hi, cousin Roy.
Hi, cousin Roy.
Say hey.
What's going on,
Shout out to the
Jordan?
league. Say what's
How
up to the
you
league,
doing?
son.
What's up?
My goo. Go ahead. I love you, son. Go to bed. Bye. Fatherhood, y'all. This is where it's at. Story time. And we're gonna get back. Where were we at, right? We with the redraft, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was saying, no, we were actually talking about the playoffs. I think Brandon, I think fits that because he made the playoffs twice,
Mm-hmm.
and both times he's got to the championship game.
Okay.
No,
right.
Once he was 4th, then last year was 3rd, but he hasn't lost in the first round yet. But pretty much, I think it's just, if we doing it, just would be you and Brandon at this point are the only 2 teams that have made the playoffs that didn't
lose in the first round
or never lost in the first round.
I can fuck with that. Story time, and it brought me back to my young. Now, as I said, people, this is Get to Know Their Own, my time, my show. We grew up. I met Roy in my formative years, and he grew up next door to Moan. I'm going to tell you guys, this is a vulnerable moment on me. One of the things, and not only just me, it was a lot of cats in the hood. We was jealous of you, dog. You had your dad in-house. My parents was married, but your dad was in-house. And I looked at it, I was like, damn, that nigga lucky. And one of the things was like, you know how he was on the block and this, that, the third, but it was always somebody you wasn't going out there doing that bullshit. And I wish I was like, some days I was like, I wish it was a motherfucker that was around that say you can't be out here doing that bullshit. So shout out to you, shout out to Mr. Hogan. It's the story time for me about the homie Roy. But the playoffs, If I get in them bitches, I'm going. Just understand that. I'm going. It's law, niggas.
All right, so we got 2015. You got we was a redraft league. Then I remember the first year was our dynasty year. Well, when we first went to dynasty, we prepared everybody after the redraft. Oh, we was in the redraft. We prepared everybody.
That was 18, right?
Towards the end of that season, I let everybody know where you finish is how you pick the next year.
Right.
And so the first year of the dynasty, you had finished third that year. So you had a third pick. And I remember, I was wrong, but I gave you a little heat about this.
You was wrong. I'm sorry. Can you say that again for the people in the back? You were wrong.
Wrong. But I gave you a little heat about taking third overall. You took Zeke Elliott, rookie year. I gave you a little heat about taking a rookie running back straight out the gate. You was very.
Did I take him at 3 or 5?
You took him 3. You had a third pick. You finished third that year. You had a third pick. Took him with the third pick.
I did, yeah. And you gave me heat about it, dude. You gave me, huh?
What was your logic, your thinking?
Oh,
we was all new to dynasty, so this was. I mean, we all had our own little philosophy, but we were still all new to this dynasty learning. But you wanted Zeke, and you went after Zeke. What was your thought process in a dynasty format going after Zeke like that?
Reason being, one, I'll go back to that. That was the year that I wish I could, because I would have had like Brady, Wilson, Marshawn, and some more shit going on. But I think Marshawn probably went out after that. But that was the year again at the end of 17. And I want to go back and look at my 17 roster. If y'all ever watching this, go back and look at the 17 roster. I had all them motherfuckers. That's why I finished third. So we switch over. Now with Zeke. Zeke is from St. Louis. And we're gonna talk about a little bit of this later on. But I am a youth sports nut. I'm a youth sport. I love high school sports more than I love college sports, and I love college sports more than I love the pros. And I've watched Zeke probably since he was like 10 years old. So and actually had met his parents. Didn't know him like that, but I had met them. Both of them went to Mizzou, which was crazy that he went to Ohio State. Said all that to say that I knew, and he passed my. I knew where he came from. I knew his lineage. I knew his coaching. Just watched him literally from a child grow into a man, and yeah, that was gonna be my first pick. Shout out to Zeke. What's up?
Looking at your 2017 roster, it wasn't as great as you want to make it out to be.
I finished third, motherfucker.
No, you finished third in 2015. In 2016, we went.
That was still redraft.
No, that was the first. Was it?
Nah, it was either 7. When did Lennox won his first championship in 18?
That's what it was.
Okay.
2015. We played. That's where you won the North. 2016, we came back, and I think we only kept 11 guys. The first year, remember the first year?
We kept 11, and that was the year so one of those years, I didn't get to keep enough.
2017 is when we went full dynasty.
Yeah.
He 20, it was 21 guys then.
Yeah. And then over time, we increased it to 30. This is what I'm saying. He missed when he's wrong, and something nothing is 100% right. Even a condom is only 98.5. So 1.5% he'd be off. But for the most part, this nigga know the numbers for the league. and he
Yeah,
keeps us all honest.
that's when I think you had Cam, because Cam was coming off his Super Bowl MVP year. So you had Cam, I think, 2015,
Oh
2016,
yeah,
2017.
Cam. Yeah, shout out to Cam Newton. I was okay. How I got Cam? You want to tell the people how I got Cam Newton?
Cam Newton. That was one of
That
our
was
first, other than the Dalvin Cook controversy. That was
uh-huh.
one of our first controversies
Uh-huh.
where I was giving y'all a hard time because
Giving us a hard time.
it was a slick move that you and
Mm-hmm.
Wilson who changed the name of Black
Back
Republicans.
recovery. Shout out to Wilson back in the day. Back in the day,
But
Wilson.
you guys, I don't know if you guys made this during the draft, before the draft, but
What
he
was it for? It
had
was a Pittsburgh running back. He had the before pick, and I picked after him.
you had actually. This was 2016, so I tried to be slick,
Uh-huh.
and I made a trade with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up trading the 10th pick for
Oh,
a
man. A bunch
bunch
of
of picks.
this is my oldest, as y'all can see, man. All teenagers do is walk
Going up,
around
John.
with fucking hoodies on and everything. So shout out. This is my oldest, Gyra. Gyra, say what's up to the league. Go ahead, talk to the people.
What's up, yo?
That's cousin Roy down in Florida. What's going on?
His voice done got deep.
It sure the fuck did. This dude, hey, I'm about to beat him down. All right, dog. Go ahead, holler at you, my guy. Hey, husbands and fathers, baby, we got to do it better than we was done, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, the league and the progression and everything that happened and all of this shit it's certain things that I look back on. I was like, and I ain't even gonna lie to you. And I sometimes I want to choke you out, but I understand the progression because you wasn't a I'm just gonna jam it in kind of nigga. You know, you was like, okay, we're gonna start with 11 and we're gonna do this. And I know that had it started earlier, a year earlier, man, I'd have been and raped this motherfucking league. But it is what it is. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I was actually genuinely 100% pissed at you. I was mad as a motherfucker. I'm like, I knew I could have did this shit. But my bad.
Yeah, well, I wanted to give everybody a chance to adjust because with these rule changes are very sensitive, and especially when we first started, it was you have to convince because we had a wide range of players and thoughts, and everything would happen. The biggest thing was letting everybody know there was a fair chance for them to win the league. That was the biggest thing because before this league, I was in a league with Wilson and Lennox, and it felt like it was cheating, and it felt like it came from the guys that was controlling the league. So what I want to make sure, and everybody quit that league because they was like, this is bull crap. So I want to make sure that everybody felt that it was a fair league. The rule changes that did came and gave them enough time to understand what they was getting to, and it didn't feel like it was sprung on them last minute only to benefit me or somebody else.
You should have talked about that shit on your segment, but what's up?
Let's go back. Let's bring it back to you. 2016, you traded with me. I did a bad deal. I took more picks in the later rounds and gave you the 10th pick. You end up having that 10th pick and the 3rd pick. So, Brees Hall. And then at 10, you picked Le'Veon Bell. And you flipped Le'Veon immediately after the draft. You flipped Le'Veon Bell
for Cam Newton.
For Cam Newton, who was picked by Wilson at the time. And I was upset. But it was nothing I can do other than complain. But I was upset. And I talked a little trash as we do in the chat room.
No,
And
you
we
didn't
kept
talk a little trash. You
a little
talk
trash. I never
talk
did
big
anything.
trash.
I never restricted anybody. All I did was talk trash and call y'all names. Like y'all see.
Yes, you did. That is true. Shout out to old school Wilson.
Yeah, so that was one of your first big moves in Dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Trading for Cam Newton. And it was a good move because I don't think you at that time, I don't think you had a quarterback. You went the whole draft without a quarterback. And
Mm-hmm.
then boom, right after the draft, Cam Newton traded.
Yes, that happened. That is true. Okay.
So what is your with the dynasty? You got the redraft, you got the dynasty. Which one do you prefer? How do you like it? What you know the difference between the two?
It's a big, huge difference between the two. You described it as best. You go through week 6, week 7, and you at 5-2, 3-4, and you see the South coming up in the next, or something like that. You be like, man, I'm done. You can't wash away your sins with this. You gotta own this. You gotta live that shit, and it makes you a literal GM all year. We've talked about, we've joked, we say shit in the chat, your scouting department and things of that nature. But the overall reality is you looking for NFL news every day. And it's that natural progression. It takes you to that next level. And as far as the dynasty goes, I do like it better than the redraft because there is no watching away. You have, if you pick this person in the first round, you pick this second person in the second round, you sold, this person and that pick to move up to this, and that motherfucker is trash. You like, whoo, man. You feel like someone took you down to the mosey. We've all been there. I've been there. You've been there. I've been there, courtesy of this motherfucker over here. So, sometimes you just it's that you, like Brandon said, you gotta watch sports. You gotta know sports, and you can only go off so many big names. But you gotta, and not to say we're going back to Zeke, not to say that he was a bad player in the combat. The pundits that actually do this shit for a living, nobody was talking bad about him, but they weren't like super geeked and high about him either. And you just gotta, like, in Brandon's words, your eye test. I talked to LTK about his. Trust yourself and your GMing skills, and you really gotta get down and get into it. And whatever you do, good or bad, you got to own that shit. And that's the way I feel.
Okay. So let's talk about your team philosophy.
Ooh.
How you build this team. I've been watching you, and I watch everybody in the league. And I got, like, early in the league, I used to always say I keep files on everybody. And your file always said, and it's pretty much to the same, you 2 or 3 years and you out as far as your team. I think the longest you've had somebody on your team would be Darren Waller. I think you got 4, maybe 5 seasons out of him.
I want to say it was 4. And shout out to the scout report. I had heard of Waller, but it was like you heard of Waller like you probably heard of Odell Beckham Sr. He was, we know who OBJ is, but Odell Beckham Sr., and shout out to Roy. Roy planted that seed, and it's like, let me go take a look at this dude. And I start looking at film and shit. But the scouting report on me, and I give y'all this. This is the scouting report on me coming from the home office. I like shiny new things. I like trinkets, gadgets, shit like that. But also, I'm not a I don't mind the rebuild. I like the challenge. I like the chase. And Waller, I think I got 4 out of him. I think I'm coming up on Hurts for what, 3, 4.
Yeah.
The overall reality, and I had
Jacob,
Jacobs. I had Jacobs his whole
Jacobs
rookie
and
contract for
Montgomery.
5, and
Yeah,
Montgomery. Now, see, this
that'd
is
be
when
five.
we go back to this shit. We're gonna talk about some of these, but this is one of those moves, you know. When I like say 2 3 years, Zeke was still in his rookie contract when I traded him for 1 and 2, and that netted me Jacobs and Montgomery, who in turn both have that their ROI is amazing. But and this is really going back to it, this is the ultimate thing, and as I progress in my ownership, my GM, and I have over the time began to keep players for longer. Uh, some not as long, some I let go way too early and whatnot. But because I am that youth sports junkie, I'll see them or I'll hear their name, and we live in the age of the internet and YouTube where highlights are posted up there. You can watch that shit at any given time. So when I see somebody and they begin to hit the market, like you talking about team philosophy and whatnot, we're gonna go to how I study and shit like that. Before Lamar Jackson was Lamar Jackson, I was
Mm-hmm.
watching Lamar Jackson. And you've done it, but this shout out to the chat room. People give me grief, everybody talk their shit. But like, you've been watching him since he was 5 years. But that's real, because when I first, like, I remember and I think it was either you or it might have been Lennox. And I don't know if I truly don't know if it was hate or it was at the time they didn't know or whatever it was, because at the end of the day, nobody's ever going to go give you props in there. But I said, hey, y'all, shout out to this cat, Lamar Jackson, going to be that nigga. He going to be team the ass kicker, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if it was you or him. I want to say it was him. It was like overrated. Who the fuck is that? That's a no. What are you talking about? And lo and behold, he's Lamar Jackson. And that's my thing. I guess I do. I pride myself on that, knowing a motherfucker before they the motherfucker that they are. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Kurt Warner was a bagger at a grocery store, and the next 2 years he at the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
There you go. So you like to
I
get
like
guys
I like
before
shiny new
everybody
things.
else, before everybody else get them.
Yeah.
So how do you study?
Ooh, I study with the age of everything that we have. Hey, this is a free game out here, y'all, because I know y'all want to beat me. And real spill, this is it. This draft right here, because I talk so much shit about niggas and how they draft and things of that nature. I have a lot of draft picks in the first round. I'm planning on trying to get more. But this draft, out of all the drafts I've done since 2015, this one will be the most scrutinized. Um, but at the end of the day, my study habits are I gotta see it. Like, we're gonna talk about like the El Patron, my brother Moan. Remember he wanted AR-15, right? And
Exactly.
you were a proponent for AR-15, right? I said I'm not. And it wasn't a popular opinion. And some of the opinions that I have may or may not be popular at the time. And I'm not gonna say I'm 100% on this shit, but I really want to say, and team commission may keep me honest. I want to say I'm probably about 80% on the shit. On the consensus of motherfuckers that said, oh, that's the new dude. That's gonna be the motherfuckers coming out and be like, yeah, no, or flat out no. Sometimes I'll be like, he cool, depending on the situation. I don't see it, and I've been wrong, but not often. And I've been wrong in that middle of the road. For the most part, I can't think of anybody, and maybe you can think of somebody, and if you can't think of anybody right now, but I encourage you to put it in the comments. I've never been wrong on a motherfucker. I was like flat out like, nope, he don't have the sauce. That motherfucker ain't got the goods. I've been wrong on a couple of middle of the road guys. Shout out to Foreman. It took Deontay Foreman to last season to start to act halfway decent. But I rolled.
It was wrong. It was wrong on Nick Chubb. Oh.
I was wrong on Nick Chubb. Yes, I was wrong on.
I will give you props. You've been right more than you've been wrong, but you have been wrong.
I have.
You've been wrong a few times, and some of them we don't care about. You do remember all your wins. The losses go away quietly. We have to. But
the losses don't go away.
I have noticed that you do pride yourself on trying to find the gems before anybody else finds.
And I don't even think it's the gems. I think it's just the cats that you gonna always see the tape on the marquee guys. You gonna see your Randy Mosses, your Marvin Harrison Juniors, your Dalvin Cooks and whatnot. But you're not gonna see those Philip Lindsays, those James Robinsons. When I took Smith, I remember when I took Smith. This is another one that you gave me. Oh, you gave me. I remember some heat, but I can't tell. And you can clear the record now if you want. I couldn't tell if it was hate, if it was mind fucking, or it was genuine. I think you fucked up on that because when I went Devontae Smith, Cass was like, "Damn, that motherfucker skinny," you know. And you gave me like real heat.
Well, I like Chase more than Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But I understood it because that year you took Smith, you had just traded
for Hurts.
And I wasn't the biggest fan of Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like Chase more. I didn't take that draft. I didn't take Chase because I wanted my guy from Florida, Pitts. So I let Pitts go. And then Pitts, Chase ended up going all the way, I think, like 9th that year.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy said wanted another quarterback.
Shout out to my motherfucker Sid. It's the homie. New York City Matrix, baby.
Let me go back to a little bit of team philosophy and this and that. Now, I used to give you a hard time because I said you never let your team mature, come together and bring it. It was 3-4 years and it was out. 3-4 years and it was out.
Yeah.
It's like, have that changed or are you still bringing in the new shiny toys because you did trade Ahmad and Waddle after 2 seasons?
So I'm gonna go ahead and get into that. That's one of that's worse. That was a worse trade than my Swift for Fitzpatrick trade. My Swift for Fitzpatrick trade, and I got heat from that from my world bitch. I mean, shout out to Lennox, but I got heat from that for everybody. But
Brian
at the time,
Brian took credit for that. I mean, World Boss gave you some heat, but Brian took credit for saying he made you do that trade.
Brian can't make me do a goddamn thing, and we're gonna get into Brian.
In the chat, he clowned Smith Swift so hard that you gave up on him and just gave him away.
At the time, then I'm gonna discuss that. So Swift, and you know me, and you know my philosophy. Again, you study me. I have always wanted to make sure I had a what?
Backup quarterback. Going into the season, that has always up until back then when that happened, that was my fear. That was my genuine. This is get to know the owner. You're gonna learn about this motherfucker today. That was my genuine fear. Was going into the season without a backup quarterback. Now, the previous season, Fitzmagic had went out there and remember the previous year, it was like 4 games. I had Fitzpatrick and who was the other motherfucker?
Uh,
There was
Speedy.
one guy, John Jackson.
Yes, D-Jax.
That was that one
And them
game where
motherfuckers, it was
Minutes,
like 4 in a row that they
I don't
just
know if
kept.
Minutes was trolling you or not, but he actually told you to start both of them. It was like, what you got to lose? Start Jackson
Uh-huh.
and
Right.
Fitzpatrick.
Uh-huh.
And you did. You stayed with your best players, which I would have did.
But
Most people would have
most
did.
people would it, and it was, but that was the
But
season before. Now I get
they
into
went
that,
off.
and they
Yeah.
went off into so going into the next season, Swift. And if you go back and look, y'all can go because this is what we got the history on. Go back and look. Swift was my least productive running back. I had David Montgomery. Facts. I had Josh Jacobs. Facts. And I had one more, and I can't even think of it, but I had just drafted Swift. So he was kind of no, it wasn't that anybody made it was the GM move because in my front office at the time, that was a legitimate fear. And we all talked to y'all, some of y'all talked to me backline, some of y'all talked to Roy backline. All of us probably talked to Roy backline. I talked to Roy backline. And that was my fear. I was like, I cannot go into this season without a backup quarterback. And that was when I was like, well, Swift, get rid of him. It was a blunder, but it was not the blunder of St. Brown and Waddle. That is probably, I don't, it was one, what was them early days trades? Who was that motherfucker that I give you heat about back in the redraft? Was it a cornerback wide? I can't remember the motherfucker name, but it'll come to
Jeremy Macklin.
Jeremy Macklin. So Roy listen.
I forgot the running back it was.
I forgot the shit too. But at the end of the day, that's always been a fear of mine to not have a fantasy relevant quarterback. So to get rid of
on the heels of in the chat room, I think y'all was going back and forth, which you and Brian, you and Lennox, y'all always go back and forth about who players is doing most. So Swift was the guy out of all your running backs that they attacked and said you can't draft. And then maybe a week, 2 weeks later, after that big argument, I think he was going at Sanders, and Sanders was doing a little bit better than Swift. And then
how's that working out?
You traded them, and then boom, they said, you panicked.
Now, at the time, and this is going to make sense to people as we GM, and I'm going to talk to the King GM. Now, at the time, Fitzpatrick, we're not looking at Fitzpatrick as we know Fitzpatrick now. Of course, we're going to take Fitzpatrick back to the damn near MVP season that he had, right?
Okay.
So you have Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery. I want to say I had Khalil Herbert at the time as well. And you got Swift. Huh? You say what? So of those, if and you gotta you're trying to get a starting quarterback, because starting quarterbacks, they do come at a commodity. Of those four, if in knowing what you know then, not knowing what you know, who would you have traded?
I can remember that trade, and when it went down, I don't think I would have traded for anybody, but I did know like I said, you and Chibo. It's a couple other people in the league who don't like going into the season without a backup quarterback. And sometimes I also believe that you are a prisoner of your own attack, because you will pick up everybody's backup. Just for that just in case moment. If he does go down, I got your backup. You need to
You
come
got to
see
come
me.
see me. And you might be right.
And
I
to
am a
avoid
prisoner
that happening to
to
you, I
me.
believe that's why you made that move.
Mm-hmm. And since then, I again have evolved my GM skills to not find myself in a position to where I have to give up a Swift in order to get a backup quarterback. But that is everybody has a tail. And the commissioner talked about it in his interview, and I'm going to say the same thing. Everybody has a tail. Everybody has an Achilles heel. Everybody has a thing that is their thing. Which is why one of the things when you talk going back to team philosophy, I can think of off the top of my head, not Trubisky. What was the boy down in Tampa last year? That Baker took over for. Who?
Kyle Trask.
Got Trask, Locke. Give me one more. I know it's one more out there. I can't think of. Locke.
That you liked?
No, that I liked, but was trash.
That's loud.
We're gonna go with those two, but for the most part, I'm gonna say this, and this is one of those things where I was talking about my eye test, my team philosophy. When I see quarterbacks, I'm, in my opinion, me, and I'm only speaking for me, I'm usually right on that shit. I am usually right on that shit, in my opinion. Me. They didn't believe in Hurts. I did. They didn't believe in Lamar. I did. They didn't believe in Allen. I did. And all three of them have at one point been the number one quarterback, not only in football, but also in fantasy. And I take pride in my scout. I'm just saying. So my thing is, a lot of times we're gonna talk about the chat room as Roy goes on, but a lot of times when I say shit, motherfuckers want to call it hate, and I'm not hating. I'm just calling. I'm saying what I see, and I feel like that. And depending on the person, I'll go back and forth with this nigga over here. We can go line for line, play for play, stat for stat, because I know he's not, for the most part, unless this goofy motherfucker just want to come in there and be obtuse for no reason and just want to argue that particular day. He's going to make you bring your compelling argument, because he's going to bring his. So that be my thing. I'm not just out here just pulling names out my ass or just saying shit just because I want to piss you off. But then you got people like the world boss. I don't believe you do anywhere near the research that I do. You watch a college team or two that you started watching in the last 4-5 years. Who is your pro team? Not to say that, and we're going to talk about me and my pro team. And I see you over there getting antsy. Take your notes, put your comment in there where you want to ask your next question. No, nigga, this is my interview. I'm talking this shit. So at the end of the day, these motherfuckers that don't do the same motherfucking time and put in the same effort into doing when I sit up and I say shit, just either take notes or disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sit up and try to argue the fact when you haven't done your fucking research, when you don't even know who the motherfucker is. And that's the way I feel about the shit. That's all I'm saying. Next question, motherfucker.
Let me go back to, before we move on to the next question. You said you regret the Waddle Byron trade. Now, what I want to know the dynamics of, like, I know what I believe. You like draft picks, which the Waddle or my trade was always supposed to pay dividends now.
Yeah.
So, of course, they both had pretty good seasons, and it's easy to say you regret it. But the point of that trade was where we at now.
Where we at now to give me the 4 and whatnot. And
tell me about that trade as far as why you regret it, but why you did it, because we're at that point now.
Okay. So the return on investment on the Waddle and St. Brown trade was twofold. I got some stuff at the beginning of last season, some players at the beginning of last season, and this is the second fold of that trade. Now, when I say I regret it, um, I'm sorry. 1 second. Got it plugged in. But this thing cut out. Oh, there it is. All right, sorry about that, y'all. This motherfucking is damn views. Well, anyway, I say all that to say, at the end of the day, initially, it was just what it was. I like shiny new things. I like the thrill of the draft. I like to be able to do that research. I like to be able to find that gem. And I'm gonna touch on something real quick. Going back, because I interviewed my time. You talked about Brian saying he made me do some shit. Now go ahead, and I want you to confirm. Now don't let me forget this other part of it, because we was talking about the Waddle and St. Brown trade. But I want to go back to Brian making me do the Swift trade. Do you recall making him do the Philip Lindsay trade?
I do recall that trade.
Okay. Now, I'm going to lay it out here for you. This is where everybody has a tell. Everybody in this league is predictable, including me, including him. Everybody has a tell. This is why we're doing Get to Know the Owner. Brian will not be upstaged by that motherfucker right there. This nigga right here to my motherfucker left. That little ball dude with the glasses right there. He will not fucking be upstage. So I say all that to say, being that we know how you motherfuckers think, it was simple. And it really wasn't anything necessarily planned. It was just morning. It was early in the morning too. It was literal morning shit talking. Literal morning shit talking. I knew he didn't want Lindsay. He knew he didn't want Lindsay. But he came in there talking about, you finna, it was some bullshit. It was so much some bullshit that I don't even remember what the fuck it was.
We had some banner, but like you said, it was more for the chat, and we went fishing. We was fishing. I was throwing stuff. I was throwing out ridiculous offers. You was coming back way high. And
way high.
It was way high. Mm-hmm. And neither one of us was throwing out serious.
Neither one of us.
And you can tell. I'll let you tell what happened.
All I know is I remember, and I don't even remember it was as a joke, or it was one of those things that we knew, but it was kind of like no. I remember hitting. I hit you up back line. I said bet $20 or some shit like that. Like watch Brian come back in my back line, and then you LOL'd, and it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't what 30 minutes later. Bing! And he offered me the fucking farm. So you want to talk about motherfuckers making motherfuckers do? At the end of the day, we grow and we're men. We're always going to do what we want, what we're going to do, or what we want to do. But nobody can make a motherfucker do anything. A person can give you a nudge. A person can plant a seed. But you always gonna go back to your nature, nigga. You gonna do what you just like. I went back to mine. I like shiny new things. That's how I got the number 4 pick, but I'm out St. Brown and Waddle. So we gonna go back to that in a second. But remember, son, I'm always in here, dog. I was in Baghdad, but you was in your daddy bag, nigga. So back to the Waddle and St. Brown trade. When the regret, outside of the fact that St. Brown and Waddle still did their thing, it was more sentimental once, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Y'all hearing it here first. Once I accepted the trade after you wore me down, I had instant regret, instant buyer's remorse, but I was not gonna pay the tax to get them back. But that same team if you can remember that same team last year, that the previous year that I took to the High Bowl, I didn't make the playoffs, and I didn't have a first round pick the year of 22. So I took that same team that I didn't make the playoffs with and took it all the way to the High Bowl. I had the led the league in scoring for probably what 10, 11 weeks. So it was like, but for the most part, again, we are what the heart wants what the heart wants, and our time had passed. So, but looking back,
I know for a fact you have rated a number of big names, and you've had your reasons. So that's why I wanted to clear it up, because I know you traded Zeke because you felt his run was over when he held out.
Yeah.
And then you traded Lamar Jackson because you felt he was going to get injured. A big injury where he missed a whole season or something. So you've had your reasons for trading guys in their prime. So I didn't know if Amon-Ra St. Brown and Waddle fell under that category also.
No, they didn't. Like you take Jackson and Zeke, right? 2 trades. I've actually said I would rather trade away while you're still relevant, and you might even have another good year in the tank. But hindsight being 2020, trade Zeke or get David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs. Now, on the flip side, Lamar Jackson, in my mind, I'm like, I'm trading him a year early, but it didn't really happen. He did have some injury, but it didn't destroy his name and his stats. So those two, but it's the St. Brown and Waddle trade. Again, you wore the shit out of me. You wore me motherfucker down, you piece of shit.
Let me ask you this, because it keeps saying wore you down. Did the fact that the picks were coming, they were first round picks, and they were coming from Big Lawrence, who's in your division, and Chuck, who's in your division, did that play any part into that trade?
Of course it did. I mean, it played a huge part in that. Who don't want Missouri King picks? Who don't want them motherfuckers? Brian, we know you want them. You made a living off of them. We're going to go back again. And I'm going to wait till we get to the league, and I'm going to talk about some shits, because before I became co-commish, you ran it as a dictatorship. But you wanted it to get to a point, and then you began to put more things out to the vote. That you brought me in on the co-commission, things of that nature. But it was some things that you let go that I wasn't a fan of. But anyway, at the end of the day, I don't want to put bad product out there. And it seems like I'm going back to the Lions, and it's not. It's just something that just pops in my head. You go out there, you put bad stock out there, you put bad trades out there. It leaves a nasty taste in the owner's mouth. Sanders, he barely scored 100 fantasy points, but you threw that motherfucker. But you didn't want him on your shit, and I never want to give another owner bad product, and then they second guess doing another deal with me. That's just my whole thing. Now, and also going back to the Waddle St. Brown thing, the instant regret was because of, I drafted them. St. Brown brother, was trash. And when I drafted him, I think you gave me credit for Waddle, but you wasn't a fan of St. Brown. And not necessarily you gave me heat, but it was more so like,
St. Brown was meant, but I didn't give you heat about him. It was just, we actually liked
it was more so like, really? Oh, okay, I guess.
Liked St. Brown at the beginning, but during the draft process, guys fall and roll. St. Brown fell, And it was a lot of people who liked him before the draft. But then once the draft comes, you get focused on a few players. So he
Your
dropped.
guys.
It wasn't necessarily that we didn't like him. I think that draft, that was one of your best drafts ever. That was a draft. You got Waddle, you got St. Brown, you got Skinny Batman. Only person I think you missed on was Callaway.
Yeah, I picked up Marquez Callaway.
Like the only person you missed on.
Yeah.
I think I can go back. Matter of fact, we have went back. That was the best grade draft I ever gave you. I gave you an A+. I said you won the entire draft. So
that same team, I didn't even make the playoffs with. I didn't have a first round that next year, but that same team took me to the Hype Bowl.
Absolutely. So let's move on. Tanking. It's been a big thing. Something that you introduced as far as in the get to know the owners. You asked everybody. So now we know how you feel, but let loose. This is your time, your interview.
It's not a secret. I'm not a huge fan of taking. However, and this hurts my motherfucking soul to say, but it's real. You actually said something that tanking for one player, does it really, and nobody, and like you said, nobody goes into the league, into the season tanking. I just, as a man, I'd rather die on my feet, stand on my feet than die on my knees. I just can't do it. Can't do it. But when you really think about it, it's like, take to get one player. I still can't get jiggy with it, but it's one of those things that I'm not stubborn enough to say, nah, fuck that, just that and the third, nah. But I'm open-minded enough to say, I wouldn't do it. I don't agree with it, but I can see what you're saying, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
I ain't gonna challenge you on it or say nothing. Plus, I want to get to.
I'm sorry, man. Hey, man, don't be doing that shit, man. Hey, man, that's what you've been doing every time. You know what? What was your next question, man? What was your question, dog?
So we passed tanking. My next question is, we got to talk about, because I'll get beef as an interview. We didn't talk about the first war in the AAFL. You versus Lennox, the first war.
What was it? Nas Escobar back then. Then it went to
Nas Escobar, and then it went to Mad Titans.
Mad Titans. Then it was New Team, and now it's the World Bitches.
Listen, about a 2-year war.
It was
the first part. It's still the war. It went kind of cold, but then it actually crap back up.
They want to say it went cold. It was literally United States and Russia back in the 80s, y'all. It was crazy. But I'm gonna give a shout out to Lennox, Real Spill Lennox, back-to-back championships. You did them shits 8 and 6 is a wild card, and we're gonna talk about it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and get yours out the way right now, since we talking. Since this is your segment, he asked about the World Boss. You have a great resume. A great resume. But it's not as good as your motherfucking ass like to make it. You became a champion 2 times in a row. No, fuck that, nigga. I didn't interrupt you. You can put. Go ahead.
Let me stop. You can do that when we go to the West Coast. I want to talk about the war.
Listen, man, the war came about because niggas talk shit, and I just feel like niggas can't stand on that. And the overall reality is your shit is good, but it ain't as good as you try to make it out to be. This is why we came with the bragging rights. Your motherfucking ass had less points for than I did. and more points again. At the end of the day, the strength of schedule came about, and I'm talking. Well, Roy was in that motherfucker. Y'all don't even understand. Woo! Woo shit! I was coming in there blazing in that motherfucker because I'm like, at the end of the day, dog, your team was trash, and you only made it because you faced motherfuckers that was trash too. And this is where we came with the bragging rights. And as far as the war is concerned, them first you to in was it 17 and 18? Get my ass handed to me. Huh?
And then we both called him lucky. And
you did in 17
because he did win the division. So we called 17 Chip lucky, and we challenged him. We both, because we was both in this room.
We did.
We challenged him to run it
back, and he did, and he
won. You started off that season 0-3.
Do you know you talked about I started at 0-3, and I knew you were gonna get to the stats. I started out 0-3, y'all. They was giving me the business in that motherfucker. He was telling me I'm 0-6 before the season start. You ain't never gonna make the playoffs. Your team trash. And then week 1, week 2, week 3, 0, 0, 0. And this is where I go back to tanking, and people say he just hating because it's Linux. No, because remember, I did this shit when I was 0-3, and anybody come out the box 0-3, they gonna turn around and be like, well, shit, I can my season ain't salvageable. I went 0-3 to the motherfucking Super Bowl, and I lost in the Super Bowl. This is why when you talked about me taking motherfuckers players, this is where it happened. Zeke, the famous Zeke, he was supposed to play. Everybody said he was playing. Lennox went out there and picked up his backup. Then they decided on, was it either Thursday? No, he came out Saturday evening on the report. They was like, he not gonna play Sunday on some bullshit. And he literally, I don't remember how close the score was. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I don't know, but I think that may have cost me the 2018 championship, and it may not have. But that was where the rule, everything is an evolution. You get a rule based on some shit that happened. So that was the rule where if you win the championship game, any players that you drop, because at the time there was no rule, ain't nobody finna drop Zeke. So there was no rule in place to protect Zeke. So it just was what it was. So the next season, the rule came out, and it was, the Players Association and things of that nature met, and that rule was implemented. But the war in itself it's a still ongoing war. It's a heated war because it even went past 17 and 18, and we got into BBE, South victories. Both of us. What was like 11-3? Both of us.
2020. Me and Brian left the division. You and Lennox stayed, and you two were the big dogs in that division.
It surely was.
Both had the same record, and it came down to the head-to-head matchup.
Because he had more points. He had more points, but
it came down to
head-to-head.
The head-to-head matchup, you beat him twice.
So now we go back to the previous years where he would tell me that I was 0-6 before the season started. He was like, you 0-6 before the season started. 18, I went from 0-3 to the Super Bowl, finished 8-6 just like he did in the regular season. Didn't make the playoffs the next year, and we still in division after the Roy and Brian left the South, so it's just me and him. I'm talking about we going back and forth. I think I beat him in the first part of the division because I went 6-0 in division that year. He went 4-2, but that was the year he traded for Brady. And this is where we're gonna talk about. And we're going to talk about this, whether you bring it up or not. This is where really, really believing your bullshit is really effective. And if you just out there talking, or if you really, really believe your bullshit, Mr. Commissioner, do I stand? And you can say do I stand 100% on the shit that I say, good or bad, right or wrong?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yes.
So, and I've said this before, and I told Lennox this, and Lennox, I know you a fan because I know you be watching, especially if this motherfucker hosting. Yeah, you gonna watch. you didn't believe that BBE shit because you specified. I think it was like what week 10. It was right at the week 12 deadline. I think it was the week 12, week 11, week 12 trade deadline. You said I'm trading for BBE specifically to knock you out week 14, and you sat them motherfuckers week 14 because you didn't believe. You talk that shit, you say that shit, y'all, all of this, but y'all don't stand on it. I stand 100% on everything I say, and that's the difference between y'all niggas and me. I believe what I say deep down in my heart, and I don't say it unless I believe it. Y'all just be out there talking, or y'all want to sit up and say that I'm hating, when in actuality, nigga, all I'm saying is what I'm seeing from my eye. But at the end of the day, you do exactly what I told you hoes was gonna do. Y'all bench them bitches. Like I told y'all niggas would, because y'all don't believe that shit, nigga. So next question. Oh, back to the war. So at the end of the day, we went 11-3, and I beat him in the head to head, and he was second in division and ended up being the 5th seed. I was the first. Me, motherfucker, beat you. South Division title all day, head to head. Me and you, motherfucker, and I won.
So if the war is still going on, it's cold now.
The war right now is it's probably never going to go away. Really, we genuinely don't like each other. On a molecular level, on a cellular level, we do not like each other. So the war will never be, but it's always going to be an up and down. The difference with us is when I was down, and I had some down times, and he was up. That motherfucker kept a foot in my ass and a knee on my neck. But when he's down, up until your ass started making him feel safe to stay, the motherfucker used to run and be gone all off season, 6-8 months at a time, gone. But I took my lumps. Same thing, and the same thing with Wilson. When you went, what was it, 3-11? 3-11. Motherfuckers had they boot in your ass, and you stood there 10 toes every day in the group taking it. But when it's your time, and when you on top, and you out there making games, and you out here making moves, motherfuckers run. And that's the difference. I believe the bullshit that I say. I believe in every word, every syllable that I utter. But when y'all don't believe it, y'all bench your niggas and do exactly what I told you hoes was gonna do in the first place. But at the end of the day, y'all don't stick around for when it's your turn. That's what I can't respect about you niggas. Brian hoe ass, and say I'm lying, you ain't gotta agree because you hosting. I'm finna say it to you. Your hoe ass been MIA all off season. You pop in there every 2 weeks, and then you have a 4 to 5 stat back and forth. I don't talk to motherfuckers that didn't make the playoffs. But your motherfucking ass ain't in there every day. Ho ass nigga, I'm in there every day. Every day. Good morning, motherfuckers. You done seen it. Good morning, motherfuckers. Every morning. Soft ass niggas.
In defense of Brian,
huh?
he was this close to being able to call himself a goat.
This is what I'm saying, y'all. He was that, and you may get into it, and we may discuss. I'm gonna wait till we in divisions. I'm gonna wait to divisions.
Well, let's move on to your plan for the future. You got these draft picks.
Mm-hmm. My plans for the future is very simple.
What does this draft mean to you?
This draft means everything to me because the return on investment has to be worth it. Because what I gave up has not paid dividends yet. So until they do, this draft is very important. Those guys, in my opinion, have to give me at least the same numbers that those guys gave me their rookie year, and have to expound on it. They have to. And other than that, then I got shafted in that trade. and it happens sometime, but that's not. And as far as plans for the future, and we've talked about this, and this has been a source of contention with team commission. It's been I've had a very laissez-faire attitude about my team. I like shiny new things, and if I win, I win. I don't, I don't. I really don't care. This, that, the other. I'm putting y'all on notice. I care now. I didn't before. I really did. Didn't give a fuck one way or the other. But now I care because now motherfuckers have been coming at me as if I can't do it again. Somebody told me, you made Hove, well, make another one. Well, motherfuckers, I'm coming to make another one. Yeah, look at my resume. Yeah, same motherfuckers that nobody believe in, or some motherfuckers that they did believe in was like, damn, I wish you could. At the end of the day, my resume is impeccable, whether they want to give me credit for it or not. My resume impeccable, motherfucker. So they say build another one, and I'm building another one, and I'm gonna ride this hoe out to the end, motherfucker.
Okay. So hindsight. What's some hindsight things we did differently? Some things that would have changed, or
again, I talked about hindsight. I wish that we would have went dynasty a year earlier. Hindsight, I talk about obviously the Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown trade. Because I think with and shout out to you. You are a great GM. Your interview was a masterclass, and I've watched it twice. But you go out there and you see what motherfuckers need. But the Waddle St. Brown, I think if I would have had them, I probably could have, in my opinion, probably got 3 out the next 5 with my GM skills, my drafting skills, with what I'm going to ready to try, probably trade Josh Jacobs eventually down the line to David Montgomery for to expound onto Smith for another 2 years, St. Brown and Waddle, and what I plan on getting and whatnot. I probably could have had 3 out of the next 5, in my opinion, and that's not hate. That's not bigging myself up, just I'm not out here. This is the reality. I believe the shit that I say, everything I say, because I'm a man of my word. I really think I could have did 3 out of 5 and beat your motherfucking ass.
It's tough. Listen, I didn't win this year. You would have had to be Bullyfoot. You would have had to be Brian.
But shout out to Bullyfoots.
Let's do it. How about the league breakdown?
League breakdown. Here we go. This is it. Where we starting? East, west, north?
It's your show. Just let me know.
You hosting, nigga. I'm over here just chilling. I'm over here drinking my water. I ran out of cognac.
Let's start.
If anybody ever wondered, I drink a lot of Maker's Mark. That's what I be over here drinking. I get it from off on Broadway, down on Broadway. Shout out to Moan and them and El Patrons and on Broadway. What was you saying? No, who we start with?
We start in the South.
We can start with the South. Let's see. I already know the order. Team Commish won the South. They are 5th in the league. They finished 5th. They had the Cinco Crown last year. They have the co-champions from 2022. 11-4? No, 10-4. Yeah, 10-4. First place in the South. Team Commish. Listen, y'all. Lean in. I'm gonna get y'all. I need y'all to understand. Lean in for this. Team Commish is, and I'll say this: when we talk about get to know the owner, I was an Army nurse, and I was in a PSYOPs unit. PSYOPs stands for Psychological Operations. This dude right here, is the king of mindfuck. Believe. Excuse me, sir. I don't need any. This is talking about Team Commission. You're talking now. There's nothing that he does, says, drops, or anything that does not have an ulterior motive to it. As far as ownership, he is I think he studies as much as I do. And if he doesn't study as much, it's probably just a little bit less. He is I call him a farmer because he plants seeds. And sometimes they tend to grow. He is an excellent fantasy football general manager. He's an excellent fantasy football coach. He got us all together. He got this league together. And team commish, you got Waddle and St. Brown. If you're not winning next year, I understand. You're not winning it after that because I'm coming, dog. I'm coming.
Let me ask you before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
2022 co-championships. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their opinion on it. What is yours?
Okay, listen. At the end of the day, it's never over until the clock hits 000. And no matter how much you're down, we even talk, and it's going to sound cliche-ish. It's going to sound actually borderline fucking gay. But you think about the 84 Olympics. The Russians were supposed to beat the shit out of the Americans. They won the gold medal. It's called a miracle on ice. It was a miracle because nobody saw that shit coming. I'm going to tell y'all, and I say this all the time to my staff, and I'm telling y'all right now, I'm a street nigga who happens to be a nurse. And that's real shit. And there are so many times that something went different or could have gone different. And it's a miracle that I'm sitting here talking to my cousin in my basement, in my own home. It's a miracle. So as far as the co-championships go, this man got together and said, hey, how are we going to handle this? And what we discussed and how we discussed it and whatever paper was being thrown and whatever behind closed doors, we came to a consensus. Because at the end of the day, that motherfucker had a fighting chance. And I can't take the fact that I was up by 85 points going into the last week and say that he didn't have a chance when he had 5 motherfuckers going. I have been beat by Kamara and Breeze for 75 points 2 years in a row from that motherfucker Jeremy. Bullyfoot's won a championship. He has never beat me. I am a defending champion, and Wilson beat my motherfucking ass. It ain't over till it's 000. So I can't take the fact that a miracle could or could not have happened because I know it's a miracle I'm sitting right here. So if you don't like it, kiss my dick hole. Next.
Okay. I respect that. And I will say, just to add on, we are not the only league that had co-champions in 2022. There's a lot of fantasy leagues. There's a lot of co-champions from 2022.
Sure.
Moving on, we got the Lions.
Woo! The U City Lions. Brian,
now,
BJ.
You brought the Lions in the league.
I did.
But you and the Lions, now, it's not a rivalry, but you definitely got a beef.
Oh yeah, we got a beef, and as much as people, and this is for people who are in the chat room. Again, look, listen, y'all. If y'all not in the chat room, y'all really need to get in there because it'd be crazy in there. But we talk our shit. We talk a lot of shit. As far as going back to youth sports, remember I talk about watch youth sports, right? I watched BJ play football in high school, and before high school. His mom's a nurse. I've worked with his mom and whatnot. We worked at the same place, and we was talking sports and we was talking shit. And I was like, you don't know, motherfucker, blah blah. And I was like, you want to get down with this, that, and that. Next thing I know, Brian was in the league in it because we had an open spot, and we was still a growing league with people being active. And as far as a fantasy football manager, Sage used to call him B Savvy. Brian has had some of the best and most questionable deals in this league, and not just with Missouri Kings. He's had some questionable deals with other folks. And the one thing about Brian that I understand, and we already talked about the Lancey deal. Brian does all his things back line, everything. Just understand when Brian come back line, keep your hand on your wallet, or you might end up with a motherfucker like Sanders. And it's shit like, and now what was the motherfucker name, dog? He had 8 touchdowns last year, and what was the motherfucker?
It was Ravens running back.
It was Ravens running back. Oh, I can't think of that motherfucker, but you know who I'm talking about, Brian, because I know you watch too, Mister. I don't watch that dumbass show. Why would I take a show for advice from a motherfucker that didn't make? Because you a fucking fan, nigga. Anyway, so as far as like I said, they traded for CMC. They fucked their cousin and took them to the Mosey Wosey several times over the time that they've been here. But they are a great GM. They are a great GM, and they operate how their organization operates, and it has paid dividends. I think Brian may have missed the playoffs once, twice, maybe. I want to say once.
Once in 2020 when he went to the East.
Okay. All right.
One. All right. So now we got Chibo Burgers. Now you've been sort of a thorn in Chibo Burgers' side.
Kind of like Jeremy and my side. Chibo Burgers. Shout out to Chibo Burgers, man. Chibo is the homie, man. He is a true how tall is Chibo? What, 6'6"?
Nah, Chibo about a good 6'2".
Bullshit. I'm a big old nigga. And Chibo, when I look at Chibo is massive to me. Fuck what he talking about. I'm not hearing that shit. Anyway, my interview, he ain't finna overtalk me. I'll mute his motherfucking ass. Listen, Chibo Burgers, I think they have had, because I can't say that until they show me something different. I've told you and showed you that my future plans are to, sit on my hands. Because people gave me the business about my rookies and the draft, and I didn't make the playoffs, and I still took that same team to the championship. And yes, I keep referencing that because I sat on my hands. People were trying to entice me to come get this and this, that, and especially this nigga over here. Chibo, I think, gets in the prisoner of the moment of the trade. And I think going back to that team that he had that was knocking down 3,000 before we even had the extra motherfucking players. He had a phenomenal. Matter of fact, Team Commission gives me shit about this. He tells me when I traded him Zeke, I handcrafted and personally handed him over the championship. But everybody has a different. This is why we do the show. Everybody has a different philosophy on how they run their organization. I think if Chibo were to have or learns the art of sitting on his hands, Chibo gonna be dangerous. He sees things, and I think I'm pretty good, and I've said it before. I'm pretty good at seeing shit and seeing shit that he sees things that others doesn't, and I think that with the Puka Kanua, what is it? Puka Kanua? Yeah, that cat. Brees Hall. Didn't he have Courtland Sutton at one point?
Yeah, he traded Courtland Sutton.
And he's traded Courtland Sutton. He's traded for Zeke. He's drafted Brees Hall. And he's traded Patrick Mahomes. He's traded Rashee Rice. He has a great eye for talent as well, but he just don't sit on his hands enough. And that's like the pot calling the kettle black. I understand, Chibo. Fuck me too. I get it.
Yeah, Chibo does. I think you call that one on the head. Once the trades get to popping,
FOMO.
Like sometimes people feel like I'm falling behind because they doing deals Because I think we did the Ahmad St. Brown trade. And then he jumped in right after that and went after Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And I think that, and then he ended up trading Jamar Chase again, but I thought that was a bad trade because he gave up so much for Jamar Chase just to trade him away, and he didn't get what he lost. He lost the first rounder, which Walker has for this year, and
the ROI. The ROI on trades has to be, and even if it's not immediate, and even if people don't see your vision, the ROI will come out, and it may be by the end of the season, it might be by the end of the next season, but that ROI, and you traded Jamar Chase way too, and just the ROI is just is very, very important, and you gotta it's once said by a mastermind motherfucking criminal genius with some glasses and a bald ass head, said, hey, don't think about what you're losing. Think about what you're getting. Yeah, that's a pimp talk if I ain't never heard no shit like that. But really, in the essence of it all, it makes sense. It makes sense going back to, we're going to talk about the Watson trade. Do you recall?
I remember the Watson trade.
Okay, and we talked about this quick. I'm just going to give a quick recap in the interview. At the end of the day, people had so much to say about the Watson trade that I ended up getting them for a second round pick and pocket lint, because people they vetoed the trade and not seeing the vision. And a lot of times it's the same thing with others that we'll talk about throughout the league. Sometimes they may not see your vision. Hell, I might not see your vision. He might not see your vision. Nobody can see your vision, but at the end of the day, you see that shit. And if your ROI is what your ROI is, fuck what everybody talking about, because you're going to get clown regardless. But it's always a good thing to be like, hey, nigga, I told you hoe ass niggas. Sean Payton hated Russell Wilson from day one, from the time the nigga got off the plane. I told you motherfuckers. And it's cool to be able to say that and say it with pride. And say, I told you so. It's cool to be like, Najee Harris is going to get benched in the real NFL, and you going to put him on your bench in the motherfucking AAFL. And to be able to see that shit transpire is an amazing thing. So it's a lot of times you have to really understand that people out here, they just fans. And you really got to go out there and see your vision. So shout out to the Burgers.
Okay. So now, you had a big thing about World Boss. This is your time. We already talked about the war. Now talk about everything else you want us to know about World Boss.
World Boss as an organization, they I think they have a mixture of luck and skill, because like me and you talk. You told me like he was on Terry McLaurin when wasn't nobody on that. And that's real spill. That happened. Justin Jefferson, did it fall into his lap? Did Brandon make a, whatever. But I cannot deny this nigga has division titles. This motherfucker got bragging rights. He has more fantasy football championships than I do. Has led the league in scoring. Resume is impeccable. 100%. Head-to-head matchups, I believe I got him. I think I might got him by a game or so. And I think Brian back at the U City Lions, I think it might be tied or he might have a game or so. I want to give him his flowers before he be out there. See the motherfucker hate it and crying. He'd be crying like a little hoe out there. But the World Boss overall, look, dude, my thing is this. This is it's fantasy football wise and personal. I say some really grimy things to you. I do. I say some really hateful, hurtful things to you. I do. But it's honestly simply because I can stand on them, and I know you can't. So, but fantasy football wise, outside of your tanking, and I even told you last year when you was tanking, or the year before, that you could have made the playoff. I just really, outside of your tanking, and I'm gonna call it a spade right here on my motherfucking show. Outside of your tanking, you have a pretty illustrious fantasy football career. Now, it was once said that I started going personal because I couldn't win the fantasy football beef. That's what was said, right? Now, I'm talking to the people, sir. Now, the real reason I went personal is honestly simply because I can. And it just is what it is. That's who I am. And that motherfucker right there, over there looking at the thing, this, that, and other, understands where we came from. Nigga, the Jones got hard. The Jones got real. If you had an uncle or an aunt or a mom that was a crackhead and you would say, shut up before I go give your auntie $10 to suck my dick, that shit hurt. Because honestly, the possibility, am I fucking lying, Roy? The possibility of that shit happening is fucking real. And the possibility could have happened already. I don't damn know. So yeah, we've always gone personal. That's just the end all be all of it. But fantasy football wise, you've had an illustrious career. Your resume is impeccable. And it ain't too much better than mine. Head to head, side by side. Nah, there we go.
All right, let's move on to the West. And let's start with that work.
That work. Jeremy, you piece of shit.
Before we move to the West, the West is the only division you have not won a division title in.
This is true. Now,
do you plan on ever?
I'm going to get into that. Before I get into ripping into Jeremy's ass, yes, I have some unfinished business that I need to finish off in the East. But within the next year or so, yes, I plan on coming to the West and dominate and be the first fantasy football owner to have a division title in all 4 divisions. And nobody's even remotely close. I challenge you to try to come do it. Now, on to the leader in the West, the 11-3, I believe it was. That work. Listen, I faced that work probably 8 times. I've only beat him once, and I think it was once in the playoffs. That work and Jeremy, to use Brian's words, because you want to sit up here and be like, yeah, nigga, you got one, I own you. No, Jeremy fucking owns me. And that's disturbing to me. It ain't shit I can do about it, because you know, and the people know I'm a numbers guy. And men lie, women lie, motherfucking numbers don't. And Jeremy been beating my motherfucking ass since I got in this goddamn league. I'll never forget 2 years in a row, Alvin Kamara, Drew Brees, seriously, 70 points, 70 points, 75 points. Whatever, regardless of the fact, nigga, I'm coming for you. So understand that. Understand. Look, no, I need you to look me here and understand. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the West. Be prepared. And that's all I got to say.
All right. I'll let that one ride. Let's go to number 2 guy, the Gronk. Gronk has a mild friendship. Would you like to tell us about?
The Gronk, from what I know, Gronk was, I believe he was a military guy, and he was in the Philippines for a while, and he's back over in Canada. The Gronk and I, we speak from here and there, you know, from time to time, and shout out to the Gronk. He's a fan of the show. He watches all the shows. Like, he gives me feedback. I think he's one of the forefathers. Yay, nay? No?
I believe so.
He might as well be. The motherfucker been down with us since day one. So shout out to the Gronk. The Gronk used to be a motherfucker that was on the schedule, and he'd be like, okay, let me go ahead and knock these motherfuckers off and move on to the next. I'm kind of looking past the Gronk. Not to say that he was an easy win, but you were more apt to win than not. And if you did lose, you'd be like, okay, that motherfucker had a bomb-ass game. But he has placed himself in the stratosphere. Listen, Grom, if I had what you have right now, I'd be I be selling shit off in the future, and always be. We'll talk. It's just, no, free game. You have enough assets that what you traded out for CMC and for Barkley to get you a first round pick this year, 2 first round picks next year, and 2 first round picks the year after that. And sometimes on certain things you got to go delayed gratification. But you set yourself, man. Look, the Gronk is in the is in the he with good problems. It's like the condom slipping off in the threesome. Good problems. You got a lot of good problems, bro.
You started your channel,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll give you a little props. You actually influenced the Gronk to change his team name to the Gronk because he used to go by Calgary Henry, but you refused to
Yeah.
call him that. You always say the Gronk to you, and
He
he
will
just
always be the
he
Gronk. Yeah,
changed it to the Gronk, which is a great team name
it
based
is.
off his history.
It is. So when he got into the league, shout out to the Gronk and everybody that went here for it and this, that, and other. That he was the Gronk and just out the clear one day and not my dude from Calgary. He wanted shout out because I represent the Lou. I get it. I get it. Calgary Stampede. I hear it all day. But no matter what, he will always and have always and no matter what be the Mike Epps will forever be Day Day. Cat Williams will always be Money Mike. It just is what you
Yeah.
will always be the Gronk. I don't give a fuck how many times you change your name, all kind of new goofy shit you come with. The Gronk is the homie. So shout out to the Gronk.
Yeah, he actually, when he first got in the league, I think one of his first draft pick was the Gronk, and his team name was a playoff, the Gronkowski,
The
and that was
Gronkowskis.
Gronkowski was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
was a monster. So,
Yeah.
he
Shout out to
team
the
name.
Gronk.
All right, let's move on to your favorite guy, Skywalker. He went by Skywalker, changed his name to Hurricane Walker. This is your guy. Tell us about what you think
Hurricane
about
Walker.
it.
Hurricane Walker as a GM is scary. Only because now Roy doesn't see it. And I'm not gonna say I know I was gonna say I don't know if he watched because I'm sure he did watch it. Most people didn't know Walker was a Division I athlete. And he eats, sleeps, drinks, breathes this shit. He coaches football. He runs an organization. Shout out to Kirkwood. Um, so Roy was giving me an earful saying called him Mute Walker and things of that nature. He made a couple of trades and things of that nature at the beginning of the season. But like I said, the one thing that was different from everybody else here, he scrapped, he fought, he did everything he can. He earned his way in this league. And all I'm gonna say to y'all is don't sleep on the Walkers. I say he will be top 5 uh by close of football year 2025. Easy. You ain't got.
Like based off, I like to go off based off year one. I don't agree based off his activity and what I've seen from year one. Now, maybe you get a little. Listen. I understand people have. I've said this before. People got their life. I understand. I ain't telling y'all to give y'all life to this league. You got your life. I understand, but it's too many. You, Randy, Chuck, me, Chibo, Brian, Lennox. These guys that putting in work, and I just when I see some half-ass shit, I just can't outwork me if you waking up on Sunday taking my leftovers because all of us collectively is too good to let these many people slip every week. Somebody gonna see it, and he gonna be gone on Wednesday. He's not gonna be there on Sunday.
Okay.
You can't.
I gave my opinion.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. That's why I don't agree. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not doubting his knowledge. I'm doubting his activity. Moving on, El Patron.
El Patron, my brother, my guy. Shout out to my brother from another mother. Shout out to Miss Lois Sam. Miss Lois Sam, I love you, baby. I don't give a fuck what you say. You rode that motherfucking tank this year, and I was severely disappointed. I was hurt in here. I was destroyed, distraught, angered. As far as the team is concerned, he has had one of the most injury-prone squads the entire decade. I got in 15. I think he came in 15 with me. We're on the 24th season, so we 9 years.
He came in with Chibo.
Okay.
But you got him in a year after.
Okay. So we ate the better part of a day. We ate 7, 8 years. And I think one of those years, at best 2, he was competitive. And it wasn't because of...
He made the playoffs twice.
Okay. And it wasn't because the teams were trash. It was because his teams keep getting injured and he has great picks and players and he does good drafting. But they just get injured. Jonathan Taylor, in the midst of everything, just went down. AR-15 was pick 3?
Mm-hmm.
Pick 3 last year. It went down. And again, I wasn't a big fan of the pick, but I only thing I have to go on the numbers in college and my eye test. So the jury's still out on AR-15. Nobody has.
Kareem Hunt. And then Kareem Hunt got in trouble. But the year Kareem Hunt was looking great for El Patron.
And El Patron, the one year that now this goes back to on the how you ran the league prior to with the co-commish and things of that nature. It was hard to relinquish a lot of your, I don't want to use the term control. As you probably and El Patron got hosed out of a championship, and things happened the way they did. But we saw some. You know exactly where I'm going with this. We saw some shady dealings, and your goal was to say, "I saw you. We saw it for what it was. You still fell short. Stop doing dumb shit. Now we gonna bang." But it ended up working out, and now it's after the fact. And this is one of those things, the commish, when we put things out to the league for vote, it's a league-wide vote. There are certain things that he just makes an executive decision on. There are certain things that he will ask my opinion on and I give, but it's almost like it's 3 votes. I get the 1 and he has 2. And it's like sometimes if I suggest something, he may not feel as strongly to exercise that 3rd vote of a no. But he'll just be like, all right, let's go ahead and do that and we'll see. But if he gives a hard no or a hard stop on something, no, we're going to see how it just is what it is. And sometimes we right, sometimes we wrong. But going back to El Patrons, they just injury after injury after injury is what's really killed this team's as an organization. Because they've had some good players. But injuries has killed them.
All right, let's move on to the North. The North is an interesting division for you guys, for you personally. Your personal relationship with the champ, the current 23 champ, Bullyfoots.
Bullyfoots, Broad Street Bullyfoots. Broad Street Bullyfoots, they are the champions. They went around 10-4, led the league in most of the season in scoring, finished 2nd in the league in scoring, right behind the U City Lions. Saying all that to say, the Broad Street Bullyfoots, you motherfuckers have yet to beat me. You can't beat me. You've been trying to beat me. Even on your championship run, you couldn't beat me. You'll never beat me. All day long, I got a foot in your ass every day, all day, footing your ass. But shout out to the champs for going out there, really doing their thing. They went out there and they really, really showed and proved championship more nuts. They went out. It used to be a time where Bullyfoot was almost like Gronk. You know, they on the schedule. I'm looking past the motherfuckers up to the next one. If they won this week, damn, they had a good week. That's crazy. But they weren't formidable opponents. But they came out here this year with great draft picks, great GM moves, and they led the league in scoring most of the season. And they ended up winning it all. So shout out to the Bullyfoots. Shout out to the Bullyfoots. That's all. I just gotta give them what it is.
Let's move on to the St. Louis Eagles champ. Brandon, you are responsible for bringing Brandon in the league.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about Brandon?
Brandon, he got in the league because he actually just responded to the email. I had been pumping up the league to our other, softball fantasy family and whatnot, about the league, and everybody, Dynasty, ain't nobody been doing that shit all year, and I was, Brandon ended up getting in the league, and he been in there doing his thing ever since. He's constantly and consistently improved. I think he finished fourth last year, and then finished third this year.
Third and fourth. Third last year, the year before, fourth.
Okay. I didn't like a lot of his moves this year. I didn't like a lot of the trades that he did. Not a fan of a lot of the moves he made. I honestly think after last year, that his team has taken a huge step back, and I don't see them making the playoffs this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's my opinion. I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
So who's up next after them? Oh,
that's all you got to say.
That is all I have to say. I didn't like a lot of their moves. I think they gave up a lot in a quest. I think had they won it all, which they were a seeding away in difference from winning it all. They were 40 seconds left in a game before winning it all, and had they won it all, then that would have been a big, huge, I don't want to use the word crutch. That would have been a big fuck you, fuck what you talking about. Whatever moves I made, it ended up getting me to the championship, even if after championship year, you don't make the playoffs. Because you can still say, bitch, I still got a seat at the table, and it ain't shit you motherfuckers can do about it. But I digress.
I want to expand on this just a little bit. I mean, these are your opinions, but I do want to expand on it. The two moves that I'm assuming you didn't like because you talked about it was Burrow and Chase.
Yes.
Don't out of it. Now, Burrow was hurt. Chase didn't have a great year.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, what is the beat? Because I think he lost Geno, he lost Tua.
Mm-hmm.
Where you think where he got worse in that trade? Overall, in a dynasty format, not for last year.
Tua. And this is where I think Tua is better than Burrow. Yes, they have better weapons, they have better team, and they have and again, not thus far, and until everything plays out, we talking true ROI, right? As of right now, as we speak right now, and we do this, and we let history tell what the hindsight is, and history tell what the ultimate ROI is. But currently, as we sit here, has he benefited from that trade yet?
I believe so.
You believe he has? Okay. And this is what we have right. This is why we do this. I don't believe he has because I believe he's mortgaged away his future because to my knowledge, I don't believe that he has a first round pick this year, does he?
He don't. He won't have a
pick. He will have a pick.
Make a trade. He won't have a first round pick to 2026.
Now, with that being said, if Burrow continues to have the seasons that he's had the last three, where he misses minimum 4 to 5 games, Now, this isn't, and you say all the time, your words, we can't predict injury, right? Now,
Exactly.
we also can't predict who does or who does not make the playoffs. I guaranteed I was going to sweep the South. You laughed at me. So I say I'm going to make the playoffs next year and I'm going to get minimum third place. Now, that's we're going to say we're just going to take a team, and I'm not shitting on anybody. We're going to take Wilson. We can take Lord Haight. I'm winning next year. I'm making the podium. We're gonna be like, that's just talk. But history has shown that the ass kickers, when they make the playoffs, they go in third minimum, right?
Based off history, yes.
Okay, based off history. And based off history, that in your words, the ass kickers have yet to make the playoff back-to-back years, right? Based off history.
Okay.
So these aren't things that I'm pulling out my ass. This isn't pure speculation. This isn't hate or anything like this. So I say again, based on the last 3 and or 4 years, same thing with Michael Thomas. Based on the last 3 and or 4 years, is the return on investment shown that if he continues that trend, if he does, was that trade worth it?
If you ask
I'm
me,
gonna go.
based off the trend, no. Yeah, based off the trend, no.
Okay.
But
So
based
all
off
I'm
the
saying is, and that's what I'm saying. So based off the trend, and Brandon's my motherfucker. Brandon is my
yeah,
cat. We go to breakfast together. We've been on fellows trip together. I went to this nigga's wedding in Jamaica. Shout out to Brandon. It was one of the trips that helped get me and my wife back together. So Brandon's my partner. This is my dude, my guy. So my thing is the same shit we say to Lennox about Michael Thomas. He's been injured the last 3 years. He has missed more time, or 25. Anytime you miss a 25 to 30% of a season, your production is down. You're not helping me. So over 3 to 4 years, Michael Thomas has had the same type of seasons that Burrow has had. Yes or no?
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
So with that being said, how can you say the same thing for Michael Thomas?
nah.
Not feel the
Like
same thing about. So at
Thomas
that,
is
I'm saying all that to say that this is my opinion, and this is why I say why I said I did. There's because people sit up and when you give opinions and whatnot, people say it's hate, and it's not hate. It's a culmination of all the information. I don't play as a fan. And I used to play as a fan, and when I would be out there talking shit, I would be protecting my players inside the chat room. But out here on the platform that we utilize, I try my best to be fair and unbalanced, and I try my best to make sure that my words and my opinions are based on my views and not hate. So I say that to say that I don't think Burrow return on investment is going to be there. And I think Brandon has taken a huge step back because he doesn't have a first round pick this year. He doesn't have a first round pick next year, and not a first round pick the year after that. So unless Burrow is that quarterback of the future, which I don't believe that he is, my nigga is fucked.
I just can't get down with saying give me 2 over Burrow. But we can move on. That's something we argue about that all day. Let's move on to the Black Republic.
The Black Republicans. The Black
You
Republicans.
want to give the league overview about not going too in depth, but the history of you and Black Republicans, because at one point where you say I made it safe for people to come back, you actually was that guy for the Black Republicans.
This is where I'm at with the Black Republicans. The Black Republicans is another organization that I don't believe watches football. They watch. It's a difference, and I've said this before. It's a difference between watching sports and watching Sports Center. I know that motherfucker right there watch sports. I went to the game. I've went to the McDonald's All-American game at UMSA with him. I've played ball with him. I've watched games at his high school. I've seen us go to to the V to watch basketball games. We've played against NBA legends, not legends, but we played against people that played in NBA, and we went out there, left it all on the court. I know people that watch sports. I know people that play sports. Wilson is not a person that watches and or plays sports. And he utilized the Colin Kaepernick. I'm boycotting Colin because I'm not watching it because fuck all that. Because you still got an organization to run. How can you run an organization if you're not watching? And if you're not watching, then you're just going out there shooting in the dark. And if you're shooting in the dark, then all you're doing is letting your organization down. And the only reason you're still here is because you are one of the forefathers. And the commissioner allows it. You're here at the mercy and the liberty of the commissioner. And I'm saying that as real as I can get, because you people that don't watch sports, the reality is it shows. I see your skirt. I see your panties. I see your slip. You can mask it with, oh, I boycotted this, that, and the third, or this, that, and the other. Your history, you've been relevant in this league twice.
Yeah.
This 2012. We're talking 12 years, and at best I could say 3 years. 3 years you've been relevant in this league. And you guys, this is way before Dynasty. These are redraft leagues. So in those redraft days, you can go off big names. You can go off household names. But you don't do the research. You don't know. You went out there and and I've talked about this before, and it's just we got on this, and this is real spill. Four first round draft picks. 4. One of them number 1 overall. None of them niggas are doing anything. 2 of them niggas, 2 just had a decent year this year. But the first 2 niggas, one of them got a boyfriend in jail. The other one is trash. I think he about to get cut by the Chiefs. I said all that to say, you don't watch sports. And people can say it's hate. It's not hate. This is evidence. This is what I see. This is what I'm seeing. What this is saying hate. It just is what it is. Since 2012, you've been in this league. You've been relevant 3 years. Relevant 3 years. You've been in the not even the lower half of the league. You've been in the lowest 25% of the league more years than you haven't. These are numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So I'm done. At the end of the day, your team is trash. Your organization is trash. And Budo Kaka Wilson, we all know what that means. So what we got?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Well, can I get this one question on it?
Yes.
Is Wilson one of the originators of the stack?
Wilson is the
in his early days.
No, please. I'm gonna answer. He's not one of the originators of the stack or the stack philosophy. Wilson is the originator of the stack philosophy.
We also used a lot of our strategies that we built on based off his initial strategy. When he first came to the league, stockpiling running backs. That was something that he used to do. Where he had as many running backs as we'd allow.
Yeah, he did.
And stockpile a lot of his philosophy, like everybody built upon him, but it started with him.
I got to get that to him. I'm not gonna never will again, I'm fair and balanced, and I call the shit like I see it. And yes, there are a lot of things that people have piggybacked off of and building blocked off of. So the reality is that's one of those things where the students become the teacher. So, someone has taken your idea and created a company off of it. How is it that someone took your idea and you allowed them to create a company? I'm fair and balanced. The stack philosophy,
Nothing
Wilson.
happened, man. I
The
mean, Netflix,
the
Netflix
stockpile,
took off a lot of
the running back is king philosophy, Wilson. But also, I'm the one that taught Wilson to put emphasis on that quarterback. Start doing some research on these quarterbacks because there was a time, again, we going back to the Cam Newton days when we were doing the redraft league. Cats was all on your Aaron Rodgerses, your Brett Favre's, your Tom Brady's. Nobody was looking at those rookies. Nobody was looking at a Cam Newton. Nobody was looking at a Deshaun Watson, who has now become a CJ Stroud, who has now become an AR-15, who used to be a Lamar Jackson, who used to be a Jalen Hurts. Those are my things. So everybody brings something, and this is why we do those get to know the owners. But I'm never going to, as an organization, the Black Republicans, trash. Innovators and vision in certain aspects of how to build a team, innovator. And I will never take that from you.
let's move on because I can't wait to hear about your thoughts on the New York Matrix.
The New York City Matrix. Shout out to Say It. I ain't even gonna lie. I am not gonna lie. It's some motherfucking desert out there. I am saddened, disturbed at what the Matrix organization has become. I have no clue, and I usually am able to try to see somebody's vision and say, okay, whether I spoke with them or not. I can say, whether I spoke with Gronk or not, whether I spoke with Jeremy or not, whether I spoke with Bullyfoot or not, or the People's Champs or not. I say, well, I think they're doing X, Y, Z, or this is what I see them doing, or I wouldn't have made that move, but I see they see, or X, Y, Z, or I may say, I don't know why they moved that move. I don't see what they saw. I have no idea what direction the Matrix organization is going in. Wilson, Fields, just two of the four quarterbacks that they have. They got another four tight ends, and they're just a bunch of bullshit. I can't call it. And I just really wish I could. I don't know. I got nothing. And shout out to Sid. He's a friend of the show. Would love to have you on. I know you watch, we text, we talk, but I have no clue. I have nothing. I'm sorry.
All right. We already know how I feel about Sid. We're not even going to talk about it. We're going to move on to the East.
The East.
And we're going to start with the champion,
the
New
Beast in the East.
Northsiders, FFC.
The Beast in the East, the New Northsiders, FFC.
And you guys have y'all own in the East, which it'll probably be dead once you leave. But you have y'all own Week 14 Armageddon game.
2 years in a row.
1-1. You won last year. You lost this year. Mm-hmm. Only team they had that type of name game that plays guys contractually play each other Week 14 no matter what every year. And it seems to always come down to that game, just like this.
Yeah. Last year, the Week 14, the division came down to that game. This year, the division and my playoff hopes came down to that game. The Beast in the East, Chuck Hogan. He was over here last week over at the house the other day. Their organization, they are what I would consider, and I hate some of it's almost like Trump and the nicknames he give people. Some of the nicknames I hate that you give people, but some of them I have to adhere to as much as I hate them. He does have an old school archaic way of thinking. He does have an old school archaic mindset, a dinosaur, as you so eloquently put it. I This is one of those things that I hope that he begins to evolve his organization. It's like Belichick. You can't run that same, pocket presence. You get the good blind side quarter, get your quarterback, get up under center, maybe a couple plays shotgun, and just done the other. Those days of a Warren Sapp defensive end at 340 coming around that end are over. These D ends are 270, 290, and they run 4.7s, 4.65s, 4.75s. You have to be able to evolve. And I hope this organization begins to evolve because they look real old down the stretch. And shout out to them. They beat my whole ass by 100 points in week 14. They sure in the fuck did. But prior to that, week 13, 12, 11, 10, there were a lot of 160s, 170s, 160s, 180s. And those are facts. Just like the fact that you beat me by 100 points week 14. That happened. But week 12, 13, 10, and 9 happened as well. So I look forward to seeing you next year in the East with my newfangled rookies and my new shiny new toys. And I look forward to beating your motherfucking ass in 2024 and moving on to the West and fucking Jeremy up. Love you, cuz.
Let's speak on your squad and speak on you.
The Ass Kickers. Listen, we have learned a lot and evolved a lot. And I think doing this show has helped me in my research tenfold, only because of the hate that you get, and to be able to know that you are fair and balanced. You are doing the research. This is you. I'm looking at what I see. I'm looking at what others see. I'm reading to see, am I tripping? Do they see what I see? And sometimes we agree and sometimes we disagree. But doing this show, because I want to make sure I'm fair and balanced, has made my research that much easier. And I see us taking, and we've evolved and learned a lot over these last few dynasty years and moving into the salary cap. So we're gonna take these rookies and we're gonna build us a dynasty. They said you made a hove, make another one. I'm making another one.
Two questions about the Ass Kickers. Number one, is there any amount of pressure about this upcoming draft based on how you and your organization has criticized others, like Wilson when he had 4? You got 3 this year.
I've had a draft where I had 4.
Lenny with his draft last year. Do you feel any added pressure to have not only hit on your first round picks, but hit with immediate starters?
Do I feel pressure? I don't ever feel pressure, because at the end of the day, I'm always going to do my thing. Because especially in this league and especially in this chat room, no matter what you do, the scrutiny is going to be there from myself, from that nigga right there, any and everybody in that chat room. There's going to be something. So the overall reality is, unless you totally screw the pooch, you really don't. You're gonna get something. So, and as far as pressure goes, I don't feel any, because a lot of the teams and a lot of the things and a lot of the stuff that people, like, there's been no consensus overall number one that I have agreed with, except for Josh Jacobs. You and I talk. You know you know my team's philosophy. You know how I get down. If I see a guy, I want a guy, I go get that motherfucker, right? And I pay whatever I need to pay to get my motherfucker. With that being said, the only and I say this to the people out here and people that be saying, you just be saying shit, this, that, and the other. That there's been no consensus number one overall pick that I have agreed with, except for Josh Jacobs. And people gonna say that's because you went out there and no, I went to go get him because I believed in him. I didn't believe in CEH. I didn't believe in Bijan. I didn't believe in Najee like that. Najee, of all of those, showed out the most his rookie season out of all of those I just named, outside of Josh Jacobs, because he was he was the backup of rookie of the year, his rookie season. But CEH, Najee, even upcoming with Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not I don't see it. And that's just my opinion. And again, it's not hate. And that's the one thing that us as society and just us in the chat group, just everybody in general, we overuse that word hate, and it's like you're not entitled to your opinion or you can't disagree. At the end of the day, the only consensus number one overall pick in your mocks, NFL mocks, or anything like that, the only one I agreed with was Josh Jacobs.
All right. And my second question was, you guaranteed sweep the South, one of the toughest divisions
I did.
in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You like to shoot the South a message and tell them why you feel you, a team that didn't make the playoffs, you're going to come into one of the toughest divisions with 3 playoff teams and beat all of them.
I believe, and this isn't just rah-rah type shit, I truly believe that I can go into the South and beat all 4 of them. I've beat all 4 of them individually, 2 or 3 of them at the same time in seasons before, but never all 4 at the same time. I've knocked Chibo out of the playoffs. I've knocked the U City Lions out of the playoffs. I've knocked Team Commish out of the playoffs. I've stolen. No, I didn't knock the 10. Yeah.
We played one in the championship game.
We played it. I was knocking Team Commish upside their motherfucking head. 000 is what it is. And I've raped the world boss on a division championship. So all 4 of those teams, none of those teams are Jeremy motherfucking ass. And them goddamn puss ass that works. The South is every last one of y'all. I done beat y'all motherfucking ass. And I'm gonna, for the first time, I'm going to sweep the South. I don't believe the South has ever been swept by one individual. And y'all motherfuckers here first. I'm coming and I'm knocking out everybody in the goddamn South. You heard it here first.
All right. I had to ask. Okay, so let's move on to Lord Hate. Sparks buyout. I mean, Sparks Bucks. Not Sparks buyout. Sparks Bucks. You seem to have a good friendship with this guy. Makes you laugh.
He does.
He's a funny guy.
He is. Sparks Bucks.
But how do you feel about his squad?
Sparks Bucks squad is trash. And if he was smart, he'd come holler at me. His squad is trash. It's no better than the squad he sold to get it. Yeah, but hey, come here. You saw that shit. I saw that shit. And when that shit, I mean that season. if you want to call it that you had. I know a whole bitch named Della hit harder than that. Step your game up, dog, because you're gonna always be the 5 and 9 niggas that you are, unless you improve yourself. And I don't see you doing it. You don't have to know how. Moving on.
Moving on. Let's go to the last team. You just had an interview with this guy. Seemed like y'all had mutual respect. The Missouri King.
The Missouri Kings is a team that, as an individual, we've had our either we let our people make your sounds catch looking at. We're just gonna leave that shit at there. But as a GM, again, we talk about vision and believing in yourself. I think if this motherfucker just really, really took the reins of his squad and really, really did his thing, he could be somebody. He could really, really be somebody. But he didn't. He don't. And he not. I'm going to use the number 4 pick to pick my next franchise. Shout out to LTK.
Okay. Now, before we get out of here, before I give you your last remark, something that we didn't touch on, salary cap. And how you feel it's going to benefit you, benefit the league, benefit everybody. How do you feel about it?
It benefits the league as a whole because that, and I've lost many a player, and I'm not the only one that have lost many a player in free agency simply because a guy lost and was higher on the waiver wire. Hell, I think I did it to Brian last year, fucking with him in the playoffs when I got Dobbs's backup. I mean, at the end of the day, you just can't go out there and the instant gratification, the instant washing away of the sins just doesn't work. You got to work for this. You got to go out there and study for this. You got to figure out, is this worth it? And who wants it more? And all I got to do is want it $1 more. So it really puts motherfuckers on how bad do I want to go out here in this free agency market.
So let's get this on record.
Mm-hmm.
Sweeping the South.
Yes.
We win in the East.
Yes.
And what about the league? Where or
the
we
ultimate goal, of course.
Playoff?
No, what my thing is, ultimate goal is always to win the league. Am I guaranteeing victory in the league next year? No, I'm not. But I am guaranteeing sweeping the South, and I'm guaranteeing winning the East. And I think with those two things happening, it should put me in a pretty good spot to win the whole thing. 2 out of 3 years ain't bad.
And you was giving yourself a prediction on your draft grade pre-season. Where you think you're coming out? Like
my
I
draft
said,
grade.
2020,
my draft grade.
2021, you got an A+.
2021, I got A+. 2022, I got a C-. Or that's 2023, I got a C-. I think 2022, I couldn't have got anything because I didn't have any first rounds. My pre-draft grade, honestly, I don't see it being any lower than a B. But I think it's going to be around a B because I think my draft will be highly scrutinized and highly. It'll be going through with a fine-tooth comb, and my every move, every game, every point, every yard, every catch / run or everything will be analyzed by myself, the show, Roy from the Rankins crew, the stat guys. That will be talked about every Thursday morning and every Monday morning. Draft grade, I don't give it no lower than a B.
There you go. It's been a great insight, good interview. What do you want to tell the people about the ass kickers before you leave out of here?
One thing I want to tell you people is this. I give a fuck now. I've been doing this well for so long, and I just was out here just doing it just because. I give a fuck now. Sucks to be you. Ass kickers.